Thank you so much for joining us live now from New York. Very good to see you all.
Thanks for having us.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to talk, Mum and Dad, if it's okay, to the star of the show, first of all, who's seated there in the middle. Rebekah, tell me about when you first thought, maybe I'm not meant to be Ben and I should be Rebekah. Were you aware of one particular time, or did you always just feel like that?
I always felt different, and I never liked fitting in one box or the other box. But it was about when I was 8 when I learned what the word transgender meant, and I started saying that I was transgender.
Well, Mum and Dad, the thing about you is you have been incredibly supportive for all of this. It wouldn't have been a situation you would have chosen. How did you deal with it?
Rebekah had always been what they call gender non-conforming. She gravitated to, girly things. She fit in more with the girls, and we didn't think that meant she was a girl. That was not our original line of thinking. But as she got older and began to articulate who she was and distress around being identified as a boy, we really just saw no other choice than to listen to our child and support her. The statistics are pretty grim for trans kids who are not supported and living in their identity, and we didn't want that for our child.
But it must be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Yeah, Christopher, go on. I was going to say, it must have been difficult for you as a family to come to terms with this.
It wasn't that hard, because when we met doctors and the folks who, were kind of helping us understand what was going on, they were pretty clear that being transgender, even at 8, was a perfectly legitimate thing, and something that, if you wanted to support your kid, you wanted to learn about and accept.
And Rebekah, from your point of view, how did your friends react? Because obviously for you, it felt like a really natural thing. But what about your friends? How did they feel when you suddenly came in and said, actually, I don't know if it was a sudden thing, perhaps it was a gradual process, but when you suddenly said, right, I'm Rebekah now, I'm not Ben anymore?
Well, I was homeschooling the year I transitioned, so I didn't have to deal with many school problems. But once I told my very close friends at school, they didn't believe me. But once my mom helped talk to their parents, they were fine with it, and they said, cool, whatever. You're still my friend.
Well, that's good. They're cool with it now.
When I do advocacy, the people who are trans and don't have the support from their families, they, their families get more of an idea of what being transgender is, and so their friends and families can be happier.
Yeah. Mum and Dad, we've got a lead news story today about mental health and funding and resourcing mental health in the UK. You did worry about Rebekah's mental health, didn't you, during this?
Yeah, we really saw Rebekah struggle in the process of coming to terms with her gender identity and being able to articulate that, because that's having that language is really hard for a child as young as 8. And so she struggled, and we were really thankful to have access to incredible professionals and experts in the medical field who supported us and gave us the information so we could support her. And the difference we saw in her from a struggling boy trying to figure out where she fit to really knowing who she is was just incredible. I mean, the light in her just exploded, and has been a really joyful experience for not only us, but for our community, our family, friends, and beyond.
I mean, Christopher, it was obviously, you saw that natural progression happening, but there may well be people who are watching who are just saying, a child that young can't possibly make that kind of decision. It's such an early age to be able to say, right, actually, do you know what? I'm not a boy anymore. I want to live as a girl.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't make that decision on her own. We made that decision with doctors and psychologists and us. We worked on all that together. The numbers out there about mental health with folks who are transgender, they're radically different, whether they're supported or not. And if we're talking about the mental health of our kids, I think we absolutely want to support them so they can have the best mental health situation and outcomes in their lives. And the numbers from research say this is how to do it. So that's what we're doing.
I
Okay,
also think
keep
it's
on
helpful
doing
to
it.
add that. Sorry, I think it's helpful to add that at this age, with really young kids, people get confused about what kind of treatment they're receiving, and that there's nothing irreversible that Rebekah's experienced at all. Right now, she changed her name and pronouns, and she presents herself to the world as a female. And we know that kids who are consistent, insistent, and persistent in their identity usually stay that way. But if she were to change her mind, we would support her in that as well, as much as we expect that to be unlikely. She knows we support her.
That is very obvious. The love and the support of you all as a family is obvious for us all to see. Continued good luck, and thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.